many different types of flowering plants, and their woods are oftentimes quite different from one another when you come to the microscopic differences in the woods with respect to different types of cells. Now, one of the major cells that is found in the woods of flowering plants that is not found in most other vascular plants, although it does occur in some, is a thing we call the vessel element. In some cases, you can actually see the vessel elements in the wood with the naked eye. They're sufficiently large. For example, if you look at oak wood has a so-called ring porous wood, whereas in certain zones of the wood that were produced at certain times of the year, you have these very large cells which are distinguishable with the naked eye. These are the so-called vessels. In terms of the evolution of these tissues, we know a considerable amount. In the case of the very earliest vascular plants, the tissue we call xylem is made up of just one kind of cell. It is a cell we call a tracheid, which is a cell that is dead at maturity. Its walls persist and can persist for literally hundreds of years in the plant body, but the living portion of the cell is long gone. And in this particular kind of tracheid, we can describe the wall thickening as being scalariform bordered. That is, as you go along the length of the cell, you hit a variety of areas where there is a horizontal region that has a thicker region that is called a border, and the shape of this entire structure we say is scalariform in that it looks like a ladder when you're viewing it from the side. In the course of evolution, the number of perforations on the modified walls or perforation plates has been reduced to many perforations, such as you see in 1 and 2, to fewer, a smaller number, as you see in 3, finally to a single large perforation, which you see in 4 and in 5. In other words, the cell is becoming more and more adapted to serve a conducting function. The conducting area of the wall, the cell, is becoming concentrated in the end walls. And for that, we will look at the scalariform perforation element, a primitive sort, at the wood of magnolia, which of course is a modern day flowering plant that has a wood that has this primitive sort of vessel element still present in the wood. The other examples we have here, in addition to magnolia, which would have these primitive vessel elements, would be liquid ambar, which is sometimes called sweet gum or red gum, liriodendron, the tulip tree or yellow poplar, and quercus, which is the genus of oak. And as the vessel elements evolve, features revolving around these pits on the side walls or lateral walls also change. And that's what we're going to see in terms of these other elements, such as liquid ambar and liriodendron. First of all, over here on the left, we have the scalariform lateral pitting in the primitive sort of vessel element, where you have the actual perforations on the perforation plate, such as here. You've got the scalariform pits on the side walls of the rest of the cell. The opposite extreme is where you have alternate arrangement of the lateral or sidewall pits, or crowded as it's sometimes called. This is where the individual pits, rather than being horizontally elongate in scalariform shape, are actually circular. Circular pits with borders, and they're all crowded in among one another. So you cannot make out definite rows, either up and down on the wall or across on the wall. I put emphasis essentially on the changes that occurred with respect to the lateral pitting or side pitting on the vessel elements. But a variety of other changes have occurred as well, and we can summarize the entire sequence or what I should say, the total series of changes involving vessel element evolution in dicot flowering plants as involving the following things: from very long to very short, from very narrow to very broad for the shapes of the vessel elements. And with respect to the sidewalls, then, the pitting has gone from scalariform to transitional pitting to opposite arrangement of pits, finally to alternate or crowded arrangement of pits on the side walls. And the individual pits have become more or less circular in outline. So that summarizes basically the various changes that have occurred to the vessel elements in the course of evolution. So you see that the advanced element is very, very different than what was present in the more primitive situation in the woods.